Well folks, it's that time of year again, spooky scary skeleton season, the day where everyone watches scary movies and eats crappy candy and questionably trespasses on other people's property. It's a time to revel in the feeling of shitting your pants, and I was thinking to myself, how do I make this relevant to the channel? Now, fear is subjective, right? Not everyone is scared of the same thing, and then you've got stuff like phobias which can make anything scary. Some people are scared of deep water, others are scared of crowded places, others still are scared of just holes. And as a result, just about any talk about spookiness is gonna have people that agree and others that firmly disagree. More to the point, Monster Hunter isn't exactly a scary game. It's pretty jovial and lighthearted for the most part, but that's not to say it isn't without its scary moments. In particular, there are a handful of monsters that for one reason or another could be considered by your average person scary, spooky, or otherwise fear-inducing, I suppose. Monster Hunter, whilst overly positive in its demeanor, doesn't shy away from some particularly terrifying creatures in the name of good monster design, and this has been the case since its very inception, as we'll talk about in just a moment. Today I'd like to highlight a handful of monsters that I think are pretty scary for a few different reasons, and how their design lends to this horrific aspect. So, without further ado, I am Peak Ginge, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's take a look at 6 of the scariest monsters in Monster Hunter. The first monster on our list is a dead giveaway. A legend in the Monster Hunter community for making that one Dark Souls streamer guy rage quit Rise.
Garbage game. If you like that game, you like bad games. Just admit it.
I'm talking, of course, about everyone's favorite phallic monstrosity, the Kezu. Kezu has been around for a long-ass time, terrorizing the fanbase since the very first game, and for the time, it was a pretty wild design. In a genre of game where the focus was on huge fantastical dragons and other amazing creatures, Kezu came along looking like this, and somehow became something of a fan favorite. But enough of the positive. What makes Kezu scary? Well, just about everything really. Have a look at the Kezu clip from Monster Hunter 1. From translucent pale skin that almost seems like it's falling off its body, to its grotesque extendable neck, to its just complete lack of eyes, Kezu has fluctuated in difficulty over the years, but it still fulfills its purpose of being an off-putting and grotesque monster. And the final detail that really sells Kezu and cements it on this list is its theme music. Well, that is to say, its lack of theme music. This was more impactful in earlier games, but the lack of a backing track when fighting it made each squelching noise and dripping background ambient sound and heaving breath it made all the worse, and those screams piercing that silence was just atmospheric as hell. Kezu can get a bad rap from time to time, but I appreciate it as part of the Monster Hunter universe, that's for sure. Alright, moving on now to a pick that may not be on everyone's list, and may be the most subjective monster here, the Radjang. I can't be the only one who's like, kinda scared of apes. Not that I have or will ever have any interaction with them in my day-to-day, but just the thought of them going all out in an attack is just bleh. They are massively powerful, incredibly intelligent, and it just kinda freaks me out, man. So take those traits, make the monkey about 10 times larger than a gorilla, with an unbridled rage and lightning powers, and yeah, the results are kinda terrifying. Radjang's scariness comes less from inherent horror, and more from the implication that, if it's like real-world apes, it has this underlying intelligence that makes every rage-induced outburst have the feeling of intent behind it, I guess, like it would pull you apart just because it knows that it could. And of course, the beady little eyes. How could I forget about the beady little eyes? It's scary because if such a creature really existed, we wouldn't stand a chance, and whilst that sentiment is true for much of the Monster Hunter roster, Radjang in particular just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Yeah. Alrighty, okay folks, any of you got arachnophobia? Yeah, well, you might want to skip this part of the video then, because let's talk about the best spider monster in the series, and no, it isn't Rachnikadaki. I mean, of course, Nursilla. Nursilla is a pretty dark monster by Monster Hunter standards, and I don't just mean because it's a giant spider. You see, Nursilla has a favorite prey, an ideal candidate that it likes to hunt down because I don't know, it tastes really good, I guess, and that is none other than the Gypsaris, or the Kezu if you're talking about the subspecies. If you are venturing through 4th gen sunken or volcanic hollow, you may find yourself at some point in Area 5. Now, this area is bad enough considering it's just completely covered in gigantic spiderwebs, but if you just look up for a moment, you will see these hanging cocoons. Now, you might not think much of it, but look a little closer and, yep, each of them is a Gypserus carcass, saved for later. To make it worse, Nastilla also skins these carcasses to wear Gypserus's hide on its own body, giving it that purple skin color you see it have in game. How gnarly is that shit, eh? And the icing on the cake is this horrific attack where its jaws crack open and hyperextend into gigantic slicing pincers. Man, Nastilla is messed up. Okay, you know what? There's a distinct lack of Elder Dragons on this list so far, so let's change that. Valhazak and Fatalis are two low-hanging fruit for my taste, so let's talk about a really horrific Elder Dragon. Yamatsukami. Yamatsukami is an utterly gigantic octopus-looking monster from back in Gen 2, and one of the most bizarre designs to make it to the final product. Not only is it huge, it also spends most of its time floating through the sky aimlessly around the ancient tower. Kept aloft not by wings, but by gases that build up in its own body, and it's got these little beady red eyes with these elongated pupils sitting on top of its head that I just don't like. It's kind of off-putting and almost eldritch and Lovecraftian, I would say, filling you with this unique form of dread that's kind of hard to explain and leaves you feeling kind of grossed out, but also kind of amazed at the same time. But that's not the worst part. The absolute worst thing about Yamatsukami is its goddamn mouth. Every now and then throughout the fight, it will open it to hit you with this wind vortex attack, and the first time you see it catches you entirely off guard. Let me tell you, its mouth is just so goddamn big, its throat is lined with spikes, and to make everything so much worse, it has gigantic human-like teeth. Why? Why'd they have to go and do that? Like, I'm sure there's an inspiration and reason for it, but damn it, man, I just hate it so much. Alright, okay, enough Yamatsukami. Our second to last monster for today is also the newest monster on this list. Looking like something straight out of Dark Souls with lore to back it up, let's take a look at Gorm. Known in-universe literally as the Archdemon of the Abyss, Gorm is a hell of a sight to behold. With 4 arms, a grotesque mouth that splits open in multiple different ways, and its absolutely immense size, I'd say it's worthy of the name. And it's also one of the most grim and inherently scary monsters we've come across lore-wise. With command over the curio, it can spread disease and suck monsters dry of their life force, using it to feed itself whenever it needs to. It's also like needlessly tough. It straight up tanks multiple Dragonairs throughout the cutscenes and the fight itself, plummeting back down into its hole multiple times, and it's just still good to go. And that's not even talking about how terrifying the imagery is when it goes ahead and does its ultra mega death ray attack thing and sprouts wings of flames. Gorm is basically just Satan for the Monster Hunter universe, and that's why he's on this list. And last but certainly not least is a monster that is scary not because it is covered in skinned flesh or can extend its neck disgustingly far or destroy the world as we know it. It's a monster that is scary because, much like Radjang, we have some real world analogs that give us an idea of how dangerous it would be. The Diablos. Now, obviously we don't have 20-meter long wyverns that charge you like a freight train in real life, but we do have a bunch of huge herbivores that will murder the shit out of you if they feel they need to. Diablos is scary for the same reason a bull elephant or rhino or hippo is. They may eat plants, but they are more than equipped with the means to crush, impale, or otherwise destroy you should they see fit. Its sheer aggression is also what gets it on this list, being a monster known to relentlessly chase down anything and everything it comes across in its habitat. Also, have you ever taken a second to actually look at Diablos' face? I mean, the thing is freaky looking, man. The horns are so unnecessarily large compared to its other features, its mouth is almost something of a beak, and its eyes are all sunken, beady, and unblinking. Maybe I just don't like eyes. If you ain't scared of Diablos, you should be. And there you have it, 6 of the scariest monsters in the Monster Hunter universe. By no means a definitive list because everyone's going to have a different monster they are most scared of. I mean, here's a few extras that almost made it into my list. Hell, there's probably someone out there that's scared of Kelbies, and no judgment here, you do you. Let me know what monster you find scariest in the comments down below, and if you agree or disagree with my picks in this video. Like the video if you liked it, and why not share it with a friend if you think they'll like it too. Happy Halloween everyone, take it easy, go eat your favorite candy and watch your favorite horror movie, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you later.